Good morning once again, and thank you so much for keeping it on UBC TV, where we inspire Uganda. And this is our Good Morning Uganda agenda segment, where you'll be able to call in, but also we have guests in studios. And today we have a very interesting topic, which is of course of national concern, because we are going to be looking at education, and to be more specific, that is the lower secondary curriculum. We must recall that there's been so much said, so much misinformation, so much people giving their opinions, but there we have the experts. We have the people from the National Curriculum Development Center that came up with this curriculum. And with me in the studios, I have Mr. Murumba Motema Matthias, who is a curriculum expert. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, sir.
And welcome to UBC Studios. We're so anxious to hear from you as you answer many questions of Ugandans regarding this curriculum, that we must remind you those that have joined Senior 1 have begun with this curriculum. And on the other side, I have Mr. Kule Benson, who is the Commissioner, that is Secondary Education Standards. You're most welcome, Kule. How has been the National Development Curriculum Center?
It is National Curriculum Development Center and the Ministry of Education and Sports is happy to be here today. Good morning, viewers, and good morning, presenter, once again, and my colleagues who are here. We are fine, and we are now rolling out the new lower secondary curriculum, as mentioned by the presenter. The senior ones of 2020 have already completed week 1 of the new lower secondary curriculum.
Well, my first question to you, the curriculum expert, will be one to assess the methodology and, of course, assessment approach that is of this curriculum to competency-based learning. Because this is where many people have looked at, they want to know there is an area of assessment, so that you take us through to understand better. We see affirmative assessment, then also raises questions, does this bring competence-based learning?
Thank you. Listeners and my colleagues who are here, our curriculum is like a journey, and our journey has this end: to produce citizens with employable skills who are competitive in the job market. That is the main gist. Everybody who is going to teach should be aiming at achieving this. So how do we teach to achieve this is what the presenter said is called the methodology. The methodology is how we deliver in the classroom, and it is following the competence-based learning approach. In a competence-based learning, you are made to do. You should be able to do after interacting with the teacher, with the fellow learners, with the environment. So learners should be able to do. For instance, if they are learning about risks in entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship is one of the subjects. This one is one of the subjects that we are going to teach senior ones. And if they are learning about entrepreneurship, we can play a game where you stand at different positions to throw a ball into a box. If the ball gets in, you win. If the ball gets out, you lose. And we record your scores. You choose different positions. Likewise, in business, when people are doing business, they choose different positions that enable them to earn from the business or fail. So that methodology requires learners and the teacher to be doing. It is about making the learner to start from what they know. If I take the subject of history, for instance, and I want to teach them about the ethnic groups, the teacher should organize with the community around the school such that the learners go to interview the people there with a set of probing questions, not more than 5. One of them being that the learners will quickly move out of the school compound and find 5 homes to interview in a group. They ask the person a question like, where is your grandmother laid to rest or living now? That one will now draw the map of Uganda already. If they interview 5 people, they will find that these different people live in different areas. Another question, which language do you use at home when the grandmother visits you? So automatically we are bringing the language. And that language is spoken by one of the ethnic groups. Consequently, by the end of that interview, the learner will come back to class and present their findings. And when they present the findings, the teacher will continue posing more questions. Like if he has a map, he would ask the learners to go and point or indicate where that language is spoken on the map. In that way, the learners will be constructing their own knowledge. And
yes, sir, Felix.
Mr. Mulumba, I want to appreciate that's very quite a richer background. Now, in representation of some of our viewers and Ugandans who have had a couple of challenges with, first and foremost, this proposed curriculum, the purpose or the end in it, as you gave it to us earlier, which is to produce citizens with employable skills who are competitive in the job market. That is where the challenge starts, and I'll ask you to guide us or also give us information. In times like these, Uganda is struggling to establish itself with citizens of value. We are struggling against unemployment, which is not necessarily because of the skills also, but because of the absence of the employers. Don't you think even the end result or expectation of our curriculum proposal is a bit failing if we are still looking at preparing citizens to look for jobs?
Definitely, we need workers. The current curriculum that has been there since 1918 has been producing servants who look for jobs and instructions. They wait for instructions. If we train the learners to do, for instance, in agriculture, I want to move now to agriculture. If I train the learner to make the nursery bed, they prepare the nursery bed, they care for the seedlings, and after caring for the seedlings, they transplant them into a garden, they grow the crop, they take the crop to the market and sell. Many of these learners will later on their own, go and establish gardens of the crop they have experienced and practiced in. If they are growing cereals and they grow half an acre or 2 acres of cereals, they will harvest the maize. They will look at what should we sell when it is fresh, should we sell when it is dry, where do we get most? Because in the agriculture syllabus, the end result should be that the learners take the commodities they have produced to the market and sell it by themselves. They face the challenges of the market. In that way, we shall be creating workers who are not servants. The difference between looking for employment and working is through the training, the mold through which you have passed.
Maybe Mr. Mulumba, please take us more and enable us understand the methodology you're going to use. Because I see you're doing the same thing, but just changing the methodology of doing it. We have almost the same subjects, but are going to be taught just in a different way. So how does that answer the purpose of this curriculum? We have,
Thank you very much. The subjects, according to us, are just baskets that carry skills. So these subjects, we have 11 of them that are compulsory for all learners and 1 elective out of 9. So these subjects carry a basket of skills, like the one where I was demonstrating with history. By the learners going to interview one of the residents near the school, they are learning communication skills. They are learning, because they are going to work in a group, a team will visit one of the residents to interview. So they will work as a group. So collaboration will be promoted through that interview. These learners will pose questions, not only the 5 the teacher has given them, because when they reach there, they will get even more interested in asking more or wanting to know more. So critical thinking skills and problem-solving skills, if the person does not want to tell them the answer, how can they get it? So they will be now developing critical thinking skills. Then creativity, when they come back to present, we shall see different ways the learners present. In that way, we are addressing the 21st century skills that employers or anyone who wants to be entrepreneurial would like to have.
Okay, then this takes me to Mr. Kule Benson. He's talked about the methodology, that is learner competent based. One of the challenges we've seen because of the Commission now in charge of secondary education standards has been that even when we have a good curriculum, implementation, rollout still remain a challenge. Just to give you a recap of what happens in primary schools, when you look at our primary curriculum, it is a very good curriculum. Some may not look at it vividly, but it has that holistic approach. But what happens where you've put PE? They will not have that lesson. They will be taken for mathematics, you know. So where we have that school ends at 2:55, yes, and people go out and do things practically, you find that the students will now be left to discuss maybe geography. So how are you going to see that what you planned is what is happening in schools?
Yeah, thank you, moderator. First of all, I would like to thank you for giving us this opportunity, but also thank Cabinet and Parliament for giving us a go-ahead to implement this curriculum. Now, in the rollout, there is a roadmap, and the roadmap captures every section of the implementers. During the training of the teachers, where definitely we did not train everybody, but one of the key persons that was put on the list for training is the Director of Studies. And the purpose of putting the Director of Studies on board was because he's the one who manages the program of academic, who plans what to happen at what time. And National Curriculum Development Center has come out clearly with a timetable, a sample timetable, not casted in stone, but a sample timetable that can be customized by the school to ensure that it guides the teaching learning process. And the head teachers, yes, I've been hearing head teachers saying, no, have not been taken through, what not. National Curriculum Development Center have talked to the head teachers 3 times to ensure that they guide them through on what should be done. One, it happened in Arua, when they had a whole head teachers workshop and annual general meeting. Then during the senior 1 selection and the senior 5 selection. Now the purpose basically of bringing administrators on board is the management of the process. The management of the process. To ensure that what happens after, for example, after 250, what will happen? Are the learners going home? Are they going to be on their own? Are they going to be guided by the teacher? Definitely my brother here can give you a little bit of details on that. But the most important thing on my side, and as I should say, is to ensure that every time that is planned is actually utilized. And that's very important.
How are you going to ensure that we know, because education has been commercialized? If I know the examination procedure, a person in a private setting, like I told you, I think there's a challenge. The National Curriculum Development Center does not go into the area of also inspection and all that. So what guarantee can we get that really we are going to follow what is put on ground to have learner competence based curriculum?
Yeah, as I talk now, all our inspectors and associate assessors are in the field.
Okay.
And the purpose for this, they are going in, we are going to inspect in the phases. But the first phase, by 15th they are supposed to have inspected 700 secondary schools.
That is 15th of what?
Of March, by 15th of March, because they went at the very beginning of the what? Of the term.
700?
700 secondary
Around
schools.
the country or in particular
Around
regions?
the country, because, you know, Directorate of Education Standards has 4 regions. We have region offices and with staff. So we have in northern Uganda in Gulu, in eastern we have them in Mbale, in central we have them in Biji, and in western they are in Barara. Now, each of those have staff, and therefore we have made a program on handling inspection in phases. And the purpose of going out very quickly is to make a follow-up and see the beginning of the curriculum, because you know, once you don't begin on a very strong ground, then it can be challenging. But definitely, I can't say we can be everywhere at the same time. We are doing it in phases. So our team is out, and we are, because the number of inspectors is small, we have used the associate assessor model. We have got senior head teachers who have retired, teachers who have retired, is former inspectors who have retired but not tired, okay, trained them, and these have joined our inspectors so that they can beef up the team. And these are out now to follow up and see what exactly is happening. And it is not the inspection we used to have, where maybe an inspector is coming to school to know how many buildings and do you have a laboratory. No. Go to the classroom, see what is happening. After that, after the lesson, guide the head teacher, the teacher, conference with him, guide him or her, and at the end of the day, leave some guidance in the school. Then they bring the gaps. The other issue that we are doing is also carrying out what I would call a manpower audit. A manpower audit. Yes, teachers are teaching, share with the head teacher, find out the gaps, and also bring a report. So this way, including private schools, discuss with the head teacher, look for if possible, discuss with the director, show them the gaps, bring a report, and then the ministry can continue guiding. So really, we have put everything in plan to ensure that this curriculum is implemented systematically. The other component we are looking at very clearly and very seriously is guidance and counseling. Guidance and counseling, because the teachers themselves need to be guided on how to guide the students. So our guidance and counseling department is planning and ensuring that they now empower the guidance and counseling teachers in the schools to do the counseling, to do the guidance, and to ensure that every teacher is on board. So these methodologies, these programs are in place to ensure that the implementation is proper.
Yes,
I would want to ask Mr. Kule here. You did talk about the aspect, talking about rolling out and how we shall be able to see this come to life. But you and me have also had, and probably our viewers out there have had, one of the enormous challenge with this whole program is that, one, we do not have sufficient staff that have understood the lower secondary curriculum themselves. In as much as you've tried to train people, we don't know if you've been able to cover a wide number of them. We want you to tell us how many people you've trained so far, how many of the inspectors you have, because you talked about 700 schools, but how many inspectors who are going to go out there. But the big question is, even the schools, do they have facilities to embrace this new curriculum? Have you done a study that these schools, these education centers, they have the facility? For example, you talked about agriculture. How many schools can even have a nursery? That's important. Second, you're talking about physical education. You're talking about all these other things. You're talking about biology, because if you want to practicalize education, we need to have some facilities. I don't know if you had some sort of a study you would inform our viewers as well.
Okay, my brother will come in.
But you can start with the numbers.
Yeah, the number. Now, on training, the National Curriculum Development Center, working with the ministry, started the training, and we started with lead trainers. The lead trainers were to train the national trainers. Now, the lead trainers was definitely a small team, which now are of 30, which now went out and trained 90 national trainers. Now, after training the national trainers, the 90 national trainers trained the master trainers, 1,600 master trainers. Then these master trainers went out in the regions to train the teachers. And for the beginning, we trained 20,000 teachers. Now, this is a seed team, a seed team of 20,000. Each school was bringing 4 or 5, including the director of studies, as I mentioned. Now, I must mention that schools also have continuous professional development programs. Schools have capacity training for their teachers. And sincerely, what I want to mention is that people should not distaste the current curriculum program from the whole school arrangement. They should make sure that the new curriculum being implemented is part of the school program. Any school, any head teacher should be able to arrange capacity building for his teachers. And now, if you have 4 trained teachers in a new curriculum and picked from different areas of science, of mathematics, of language, of humanities, these should be able to take on the program with the other teachers, take them through so that everybody can begin. The other thing I must mention is that we are beginning with only senior 1. So it is not that every teacher in the school is going to implement the curriculum at the beginning. But it is very important for everybody to get the knowledge. It is very important because anytime he interacts with these students, he interacts with them in the field, he interacts with them in the practicals, he guides them, he counsels them. So it is important that they are all taken through. So my feelings are that any head teacher who really is managing the school well should now have said, now these few have been trained, and that one will have guided the head teachers and teachers. There is a peer training. Peer training. Let the teachers come together, train each other. The other support we are guiding the schools is the issue of team teaching.
Team teaching.
So that me, if I have been trained, I can go with you, I demonstrate a lesson in class physically with the learners, you also learn, and eventually you will be an expert at it. So I want to mention that when we are managing change, all of us stakeholders must be part of the management of change.
Okay.
At school level, all managers, deputies, head teachers, directors of studies must be involved. We shall be giving a follow-up. That's why when we are talking of follow-up supervision. Okay. He mentioned something to do with how many inspectors. Okay, we are having a team of 44 inspectors of Directorate of Education Standards. We have trained 68 associate assessors. That brings a team of about 100 people. But at the same time, we have district inspectors, okay, who are also on alert to ensure that they also do follow-up. Because
but of course, Commissioner, not to cut you short, with the district inspectors, I think we've had a couple of challenges when it comes to monitoring education standards. Some allege there are very few, then others, we don't know if it is laxity or lack of a system that monitors them to see them deliver. So how can we rely on them when it comes to the rollout of this curriculum?
What's going to change?
Really, I am not talking about them being the sole implementers of this, okay? He's talking about numbers, and that's why I'm bringing on those numbers. And actually, they are now going to be trained. The program is on to ensure that all district inspectors are trained in the new curriculum. The program is on.
Okay.
So, as I said earlier, that there is a roadmap. But also, I have to mention as he comes in, that all ministry staff, especially in secondary department, in private schools and institutions department, add on the inspectors, we are saying that the National Curriculum Development Center is going to arrange a session to ensure that all these staff are trained, because they go out for other monitoring activities. And as they do that monitoring activities, they should be able to see what is happening in the school in as far as the new curriculum is concerned. And once we bring this on board, the number, save the inspectors, the number will be now increasing when we add on this stuff. And all these measures are being put into place to create a mass, a critical mass that can help in following up the implementation of the curriculum.
Mr. Mulumba, Felix asked a very pertinent question, that as we look at this curriculum, have we figured in if the schools or the areas where this curriculum is going to be rolled out, they have the necessary facilities?
Thank you, moderator and the panelists. One, I want to start from the point that we are lifelong learners, all of us, and I welcome everybody who is coming in, an education development partner who is coming in to support the government of Uganda to deliver educational services. But we must be prepared to learn every day. The schools have the capacity, if they are guided, to do a competence-based learning approach.
But we've heard many saying this is in one way affecting their budget. There's tremendous adjustment in terms of putting in place what is required.
Obviously, any change that comes will put in some new demands. But if if I use the analogy of having very many ladders and you just spread them on the ground, you will not climb. So the education that is coming in, like if I'm constructing a storage secondary school, I can have the ground floor, the whole of it, 100 meters long and 50 meters wide, the whole of it to be the playground as it is in the European countries. That requires some guidance. Some of them have not got that experience yet. So we need to teach them. They need to be prepared to learn. This is a learning process. Every day we must learn. We should not be stuck with what we know only. We should be prepared, like Kurt Lewin put it, unlearn the past and create space for learning new things.
Mr. Mulumba, it is quite disturbing, and I think I would want to imagine, I'm sharing the understanding within our viewers, that aren't we doing the things we should have done first now? And this is why we are going, we may hit a dead end with this very beautiful proposal of a curriculum. Because one, how many of our partners, government and private schools, are ready to embrace this? In as much as even if they were ready, as I asked, do they have the facilitation? Because if we share a common dream together as a ministry and the curriculum center, we should have guided. For example, we give licenses as ministry to schools that don't have field, they don't have all these kind of things. What have we done? Isn't it a threat? And I would want probably maybe Kule here or Mr. Mulumba, any of you, don't you think we are heading on in a dead end if we have not prepared these schools best?
Yes, sir. Mulumba, to begin
Thank you very much for that information. One, I want to tell you that the change did not start today. Since 1987, Uganda as a country, the stakeholders have been yearning to see that change. In 2006, some effort was made to inform schools that we are going to change. In 2009, the ministry produced a circular that in preparation for that change, it was signed by Honorable Bita Mazire, then was the minister, reduce the number of subjects, prepare for that change, and at that time, physical education was brought on board that we should teach it but not examinable. In 2015, we were supposed to roll out this curriculum. We were told by stakeholders that wait a minute, let us work more to prepare for the coming change. In 2016, the stakeholders told us that by 2020, which is today, we shall roll out the curriculum. And it was in the newspaper in December on 27th. All the newspapers produced information that in 2020, we shall deliver a new curriculum for secondary. In terms of creating awareness of that change, efforts have been made. Now, there is only one challenge with Ugandans the don't care attitude.
But before you even look at the don't care, let me give you a simple example of this curriculum, the Swahili being a compulsory language.
Yeah.
I've spoken to many head teachers, many directors of schools, and some even allege that even there is scarcity of just Swahili teachers.
That is not true.
That there is even scarcity, some that maybe would look very obvious, you know. So some are saying even the whole process of this rollout, that one of the things that comes out very clearly is it is something new. We were not so much brought on board to appreciate what was coming ahead of us to adjust accordingly. That's why my colleague thinks maybe it will miss it.
You are re-echoing the same thing Kajubi told us in 1992, that we should have started teaching Swahili at that time if we are to be effective for social integration in the East African community. And people took that I don't care attitude. Even right now, as I hear from you, any head teacher who does not have a teacher of Swahili should just come train CDC. We have a list of teachers who have been trained since 1990 to teach Swahili, and they recruit them. The onus is on being prepared to learn. This is a learning process, and we are in the fourth industrial revolution, not the second one where you are only given instructions, because most people want to be given instructions. That's why they are coming now to say they are not Swahili teachers. But the Swahili teachers are so many. Uganda has very many Swahili teachers who are unemployed because the schools are not recruiting them. So this is the opportunity for them to get into employment.
Let's talk about assessment, please.
Yeah, maybe he asked an issue on facilities. Just like I said earlier, the issue of the new curriculum being rolled out, as I said earlier, should not be distasted from the general school programs. Government, you are aware, using the APL1, that is the Adaptable Program Lending, World Bank loan, government put up a number of laboratories in the schools. Government put up libraries in schools, especially USE schools. Those were USE schools. And over time, government has been recruiting teachers every year. It is a continuous process. Now, today when we are talking about the new curriculum, people don't want to look at the laboratories that were built under APL1. These were very many. I may not remember the number right now. The libraries, very many. Equipment for science was given to every USE school in this country, including the triple P schools, the public-private partnership schools. Private schools were given equipment. This equipment is not yet done. It is in the schools. So the point I'm making, the teachers recruited, the facilities supplied to the schools, and government continues to construct under seed school arrangement. All these are meant to ensure that they facilitate the teaching learning process. The teaching learning process includes the teaching learning process of the new curriculum.
But before you go to two, if you're talking about preparation, these are some of the books that you've brought, and they could be guiding teachers. Recently, on the day we rolled out this curriculum, happened to go to Chitante Senior Secondary School. And here teachers would even testify to that some of the materials very critical. They had to just even download online, you know, that are going to guide them. So if a teacher in Chitante, in Kampala, the Curriculum Development Center is not even very far, needs material, but they just have to download. What about a secondary teacher in Kabera Maido? Still on issues of preparedness. Because this is material they're supposed to have, that is supposed to guide them. Have they assessed the material?
Maybe Mr. Mulumba will explain that better. But the point I would like to make is, we are in education. By the way, under UCC, government has equipped most of the secondary schools, especially government schools, with facilities, laboratory facilities. Most of the government secondary schools have been equipped with laboratory facilities. Now, we want people who begin private schools to think through what you are beginning. If you are beginning a secondary school, you know its demands. And actually, we have tried as much as possible when approving schools, private schools, to look at the basic facilities that are supposed to be in the schools.
Commissioner, rightly speaking, have you done this?
Rightly speaking?
Have you done this?
Yes.
When we are seeing schools that have licenses and they are totally, maybe it was a person's previous home, it is a flat, all that you are talking about in implementing this curriculum are not in existence.
No, I'm telling you that the process, you know, every time is a learning process. The process of licensing schools has taken a trend. If I bring to you, unfortunately this was not purposive for this day.
Yes.
If I bring to you the current checkpoint for licensing a secondary school, even a primary school, each item that we talk about is followed critically, and the director of the Directorate of Education Standards is the first checkpoint at the ministry until it comes to PS. So you check each and every item. Two, that school now must be inspected first, okay, by the Directorate of Education Standards inspectors, and they should be not one but two, and they bring a comprehensive report about the school. So going forward, I would like to say yes, there could have been past mistakes, but I want to appreciate that the situation of licensing a school, the private providers and those who intend to come to the business, they should know that there are certain parameters that must be put in place if a school is to be licensed and registered.
Well, I just remind our viewers that my lines are now open. My line is open. That is the number on your screen, 0702232425. We have members, that is from the National Curriculum Development Center. We have Mr. Murumba Mutema here, Matthias, who is the curriculum expert. So questions regarding this curriculum, its content, its methodology, we have Mr. Mulumba who will be responding to that. And of course, the commissioner, that is Mr. Kule Benson, who is also the commissioner, secondary education standards there, will be responding. Hello, good morning. Hello, you're live on UBC TV. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
I'm ringing from Roto.
Hello?
I'm ringing from Roto.
Yes, please.
Yo, I wanted to contribute to the discussion.
Go ahead and contribute.
Now, the commissioner, these people of education say that the schools should be having land for their agriculture, but not all schools in the country have got land. They have got land rankings. Like some schools can be in municipalities, in towns. Now, why would they get the land to practice this new curriculum they are talking about? Then secondly, I said that the curriculum is, as you have already expressed, is very premature. Although it is only implemented in the senior one, but we still say that it is too early, really. They have hurried. I don't know why they are hurrying for this curriculum. It is not fully embraced. I think they did not do serious feasibility studies to find out whether it is true. And I also consider that this curriculum is a bit ridiculous, like when you say in history, you go and interview the grandfather, grandward, going to the villages, how does it contribute? Then this business, the commissioner is saying that you, in entrepreneurship, that you will be having like this game, positioning, what. Today I feel this is too shallow. I don't see any meaning in seeing these things. It's not properly really thought of. It's not well designed.
Okay.
The curriculum is too shallow anyway.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, our caller from Moroto there. You've raised issues that I know the commissioner and also the curriculum expert will be responding. My line is open. Please call in. We need to get more of your views regarding the new lower secondary curriculum. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Please be a bit more audible. Yo?
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, I'm with the view that the officials who are there, these are the best or the worst enemies of the country. Where have they been to see that it is only this year to implement, to add on the curriculum for the lower secondary curriculum? Is agriculture also compulsory or not? Because I'm concerned to see that Uganda, we are depending on agriculture. But to emphasize on the language is Swahili to be compulsory. And when agriculture is not compulsory, yes, I fail to understand. Thank you very much, and I appreciate it from the services.
Okay, thank you so much for keeping it on UBC TV, and of course the concerns you've raised also agriculture and then the input of Swahili. Why? Hello, good morning. Hello.
UBC.
Yes, you're live on UBC TV. Can I have your name and where you're calling from? Yo?
I'm calling from Rweza.
You're calling from?
Rweza.
Okay, Waswa from Rweza. Please go ahead.
The problem we have in Uganda, people just wake up from their bedrooms and think of doing things the way they wish. Now, this curriculum will have TTCs, have training stations. They could teach them what they're going to teach in the next 10 years. But here comes the problem. They only call the teachers, not even the teachers, they call teachers. Come and join and study. Who's going to inspect them? Who's going to be their overseer? Two, we as Ugandans, the challenge we have our indigenous cultures, we have our indigenous jobs as we Ugandans, like we're carpenters, we are masons and builders. These things are not catered for in the curriculum. They're telling us, please learn Chinese. To my understanding, China is too far away from Uganda. We're marketing with Chinese, we're marketing with Kenyans, we're marketing with people from TZ. If someone hear about Chinese, really, what's the interest? What's the benefit? So let's think for people who are in business. Let's think of the biggest number of Ugandans. Two, how many schools, how many secondary schools have been equipped? I had Mr. Kwe talking about how many schools that have been given. My dear friend, you find in such in UCE, government schools are performing poorly, even beyond. So we ask them, people, we are sober, we went to school, we know what to do. Please value your professions, value your offices, and think for the country. Just don't wake up one day and say we should have this. Even the parliament was so clear about this issue. Said, people, first get prepared, but you have to push it, go forward. Think for the betterment of Uganda.
Okay, thank you, Waswa from Rweza. He's furious about the new lower secondary curriculum and how it's being handled. I think you've got him very well. Well, let me pick also another caller. Hello, good morning. You're live on UBC TV. Can you please give me your name and where you're calling from? Good morning to you. Yes, Moses Kaziba from Buya.
First of all, I request the callers, don't just a question which was asked and it is explained. Because if you say that, why now? So what? What is it was not
Kaziba, can you please be a bit more audible? I think you're speaking very fast and not audible.
What you are saying, that if you are asking why now, so you want to tell us that because it was not a road in 2016, so today it should not be a road? No. Another thing, we used to have ground zero on UBC. And I call Amazima has been bringing Swahili teachers, Swahili students. That means we have Swahili teachers in Uganda. The problem is recruitment. We have been not recruiting them, but they are there. Amasma is the witness. The issue of curriculum, we used to discuss it on UPC 1.0, and we have been demanding the government to change the curriculum. But now Ugandans are coming down to abuse to do what? No. We need a new curriculum, and we should embrace it.
Okay. Thank you. As you wind up, Moses, thank you so much, Moses Kaziba, for calling in. And of course, I think I'll pick my last caller for now. Then I'll go back to the guest in studios who will be answering to some of the questions here and comments raised. Hello, good morning. Hello. Yes, you're live on UBC TV. Bulungi munange, wasuzotya no sebo. Sebo Michael Mbiko, genda maaso.
Kati olwaleero genda oliyo nti bamwali.
Kale Michael Mbiko webale kubeera ku UBC TV. Okay, nakuba simu. That is Michael from Mbiko, one of our regular callers, just appreciating the show. And of course, now I return to the guest in studios. I don't know who to start with, but okay, let me start with the expert on the curriculum. Michael was just thanking you. We have Washwa from Reza, who was very furious. He feels, first and foremost, what is required is not in place. Then also, second, he feels you didn't do enough for a curriculum that is going to produce that is citizens with employment skills who are competitive in the job market.
Thank you, callers and viewers. The responsibility of the new lower secondary curriculum is for all of us, all Ugandans. It is our responsibility to have a new curriculum and support it. But everybody has a role to play.
A new curriculum. It's having a new curriculum that will produce citizens with employable skills who are competitive in the job market. So that
all of us have a role to play, and we should come in and support the new lower secondary curriculum.
Okay.
We should move away from the pedagogy of operation, where a teacher comes with yellow notes to give to the learners. We should move away. Content has changes so fast. Like now, teachers of physics should stop telling our children that there are 3 states of matter. Already we are in 6 states of matter. The teachers of agriculture should stop telling the children that it takes 2 months to prepare compost manure. It takes only 18 days. So we should move away from the pedagogy of operation and we embrace constructivism. We create knowledge together with the learners. 2, agriculture from 1911 has never been compulsory in school. It is an elective, and the colonial government at that time said we cannot put agriculture near Kampala. They put it at Bukalasa, where there was a lot of land, and Serere. The next cohort of schools that came in place were in Lira, were in Gulu, were in Mbarara, where there was enough land, because they wanted to do agriculture scientifically. In science, you do experiments, investigations, not the peasantry farming, which the 80% are doing. The school is the only place where you can do experiments. And when you learn from these experiments, then you can go full blast or large scale. So the agriculture we are teaching, even right now, before even the new lower secondary curriculum, it has not been in all schools. So it is only the schools that have facilities that can allow scientific agriculture, such that if you are producing maize, you should know how many maize plants can feed a family of 5. So there are 56 maize plants should be grown by a learner.
But Mr. Mulumba, when you talk about
actually, Mr. Mulumba is confirming that we don't have facilities.
We don't have
that's
facilities.
That's why we can't have agriculture.
Also, still related to that, this is an elective. So a student may not know if the school I'm in has the facilities. For me, I'll choose agriculture. I did agriculture. But, of course, where the school didn't have those facilities that are required. Now, so don't you think that is the reason why Waswa is furious?
No, Waswa should go back. When he was joining school, did he know the subjects he was going to do? The role of choosing the subject is for the board of governors, who are the custodian of all the resources the school has. They should be more informed of what is needed in a competence-based curriculum. It is about doing. If they are not informed, this is the opportunity. We are going ahead to sensitize you on what you need to know about a competence-based curriculum. It is different from a cognitive curriculum. We need to separate
So now
that
the board of governors of a school will assess the facilities they have.
They want to choose the subject they have to teach. If a school has fewer resources, it is like when I was starting my
But there's commercialization of education.
Fine, it is okay.
I would want to say I teach this and this and this to get more students.
Those are welcome. But if, as they are coming into the field of education, they need to be educated themselves before they do the activity. Don't just jump on the bandwagon. So
that people that come to schools, a businessman in Chikubu sets up a school. At schools are some of the areas where you get money very fast.
Okay, they are welcome, but I'm advising them that if they are to start a school, they need to get the expert, the technical people, to guide them on the right things to be done to prepare a good and safe learning environment.
And that's where the caller's frustration comes in. Yes. That in as much as government should be the sole custodian of the academic framework in this country, we cannot leave academics in the whims of individuals. This is where the challenge is. Just you've been talking about agriculture as an elective, and later you want to discuss Swahili as a compulsory subject. And the reason behind Swahili is because of probably East African integration. And I've taken on a couple of experts, just like, and I want to ask you, what is the importance of knowing a language like Swahili without anything to sell to East Africans?
Because we don't know Chinese, but we do business in
That's what I'm asking.
China.
You see, when we are discussing, you remind me that he went to Chitanti. Government is telling us here that we are preparing to have 500,000 jobs. And the teacher in a secondary school in the 21st century, he doesn't know computer to download. He doesn't know that the use of technology saves the environment. Because when I see papers everywhere, for me, I know you are contributing to climate change because you are cutting the trees.
But ICT is also an elective now.
To produce papers. ICT in the new lower secondary curriculum is a tool for learning in all subjects, including English, mathematics. All of the subjects on the curriculum must use ICT.
This puts me to the commissioner, that is education standards. I believe you traverse this country. I know the status of a number of secondary schools, that even accessing a computer, you have secondary schools that will advertise you have computer lessons, but maybe you find dummy computers. So when we was this thought of very
Actually,
well?
one of the callers also asked that you're talking about equipment in schools, you're talking about laboratories, but the question would be how many secondary schools are government? Let's start with that. How distributed are they out there in the country? And just on top of what he asks, do we even have the equipment, honestly speaking?
No, honestly speaking, when it comes to equipping schools with computers, it's again unfortunate that I don't have the statistics now here. But if over the years UCC has made a program, and even the schools where there are gaps, actually this year there is a supply that's going to be given to the schools. They have taken record of all schools that have received. They have taken a record of all schools that have not received, and these are supposed to get laboratories. And actually these computers are given to the schools free. The schools don't pay for them.
That is government school.
Yeah, government schools. Now, I mentioned something to do with private providers. Government is happy that we have partners who are ready to work with government to provide education services. But definitely, as you plan to go into business, you must also know the rules of the game. Okay? So it's now our role as government, indeed, to ensure that we guide the private providers. And as we guide them, those who may not really manage to provide the services, we shall request them to first go and rethink, plan, and first be ready to provide education services. Unfortunately, everybody wants to look at education as a business that you can go and try. If you fail, you leave. But I think we want to reach a level where once you decide to go into education, there are certain basic requirements and minimum standards that a school should have to provide this education service. Now, this new curriculum, obviously, and as change comes in, as he said, brings in another challenge for private providers. I know there are quite a number who already have these facilities. There are a number who don't have these facilities. We are talking, you know, the idea of centers of excellence, when we started it, the idea of centers of excellence was to ensure that a school should not look at itself only and its students only. If there is a center of excellence in an area, there is no harm in school X to bring its children at a computer center of this school to actually be helped to study from this school as a program of corporate social responsibility, and government put these centers of excellence to ensure that they are there to spread the idea of these facilities to other schools. So I think the only challenge is that...
So the centers of excellence are government funded, government-aided schools?
Yes, government-aided schools.
Okay.
As centers of excellence. Those ones, some of them were built under ADB. Others now, those ones were built under World Bank. They are in almost every district. But we are not saying that they are everywhere also. You know, the point I must mention is that we are trying to provide the basic infrastructure. It may not be everywhere. Like you asked me, you traverse this country. I can't tell people, viewers here, that actually every school has all the facilities. But I'm also calling upon those schools which have received adequate facilities from the ministry, from government, to ensure that schools near them that would like to utilize these facilities, especially if they can handle it as per timetable. There is no harm, as I said, that you customize the timetable. If for you, computer is supposed to be in the evening, in the afternoon, and school X has a computer lab, and for them they can only have space for you in the morning, you should adjust your program to the level that you request them and come and utilize these facilities. So the other point I wanted to mention,
briefly as you wind up,
is community engagement. He said this curriculum is for everybody. Obviously, our schools are going even to disturb the communities. Out there, our labs are not in the schools. Our labs are in the community. A market is going to be another lab. Okay? An industry near is going to be another lab. A school doesn't need to build an industry to teach issues that require an industry. A school doesn't need to build a market to teach issues of a market. So we are going to continue sensitizing the public to be able to receive the learners as and when we need some of their facilities.
Okay. I just want to ask this, Robert, lastly. There's an aspect of assessment. With the curriculum, we have been told, you're yet to confirm,
the 20%.
That you will not have assessment as it has been on a term basis. One would want to know, what is the motive behind this and how is it useful in constructing a wholesome student who has not been continuously assessed?
Thank you very much. One, I want to start from the way you were taught your mother tongue. Were you assessed? Were you given exams? Don't you know how to speak it? In a competence-based curriculum, when you complete a topic, you are assessed at the end of it, and that is all. The assessment comes from the word assidere, which is a Latin word, which means make me as good as you, the expert.